안녕하세요, 여러분. This is Jesse from North Korean Movie Reviews here with another romantic comedy from North Korea. This time around, we're looking at a film that was relatively obscure until recently. That film is 마음에 드는 전형, known in English as The Favorite Young Man, which was released in 1989 in North Korea.
Before I begin, I do want to warn people that this film suffers from badly unsynchronized audio, making this film very difficult and unpleasant to watch, and even more so to review, trust me. This distortion appears in every version of the film that I've found, so just be aware of this should you plan to watch this movie.
The movie begins with a woman named Chol-soo making her way to a local sewage pipe to visit her mother, who is a plumber. Despite already being retired, the mother explains to her daughter that she's training Yong Bae, her son, and the woman's sister on how to be a plumber as well. Yong Bae is a handsome young man, freshly discharged from his military service. Good with his hands, he quickly becomes adapted to the inner workings of being a plumber, much to the ire of his sister, however, who believes he could do better with his life. Chul-soo, wanting her brother to get a different job, invites him to go visit a tailor to get a nice proper suit. While en route, she asks him if he'd located his girlfriend from his time in the army, to which he unfortunately replies that he hadn't. When Chosu and Yongbae arrive at the tailor, however, they're greeted by, you guessed it, Yongbae's long-lost love, Sune. The two are equally at a loss for words as memories of their days together in the countryside come flooding in. The two eventually break to silence, with Yongbae congratulating Sune on becoming a tailor like she'd always wanted. Cholsu, feeling like Sune wouldn't approve of his job as a plumber, quickly interrupts him before he can say this and says that he works for a commercial center instead. The two lovebirds exchange some brief small talk, and Sune measures his body for the suit, and he departs with his sister. Sune, being unable to control her excitement and finding her long-lost love, is teased by the rest of the group in the shop. In her embarrassment, she discovers she accidentally ate the note with Yongbae's measurements. As our two siblings walk home, Yongbae asks why she lied to Sune about his job. Cholsu explains that he doesn't know anything about women, and that Sune, being a soft, gentle woman, wouldn't like it if her future husband was a plumber. She instructs him once again to change his job if he wants to keep her and storms off ahead of him. Fast forward to later on in the day, we see Sine at home welcoming her brother home from work, when whom I'm presuming to be his wife tells him about Sune's boyfriend and how they must prepare for a wedding. The man asks what he does for a living, and upon being told that he works for the commercial center, heads there. It should also be noted at this point that Sune's brother takes care of her as her parents are inexplicably dead. Upon arriving at the commercial center, he indeed meets a Kim Yong-bae, who tells him that he reminds him of his mother-in-law. Shocked by this revelation that the Yong-bae he met is married, he storms out where he stumbles across the real Yong-bae who helped fix his motorcycle in an earlier scene. He invites Yong-bae to join him for some drinks, but he politely declines as he has to attend a lecture. Later on at home, he tells Sune that the Yong-bae he met is a married man and tells her to give up on him. Sune refuses to believe this and insists on finding Yong-bae herself to sort things out. Upon doing so, she stumbles upon him working to clean a sewage drain and mutters to herself in disbelief that he's actually a plumber. Meanwhile, Yong-bae continues to happily perform his job, however, and sees nothing to be ashamed of, while he encourages his co-workers to feel the same and stop trying to hide from everyone. Meanwhile, Sune's family is split down the middle upon learning the truth about Yong-bae. Sune's brother is vehemently opposed to Sune marrying him on the grounds that he would be made fun of for marrying his sister off to a plumber, while his wife thinks that his career shouldn't matter and should be given a chance. Sune, on the other hand, tells her sister-in-law that she doesn't care if he's a plumber, recalling the time that she and Yongbae met on the farm during his military service. Instead of heading home for the holidays, he chose instead to help around Sune's farm and spend time with her. She recalls of Yongbae always being a kind and helpful person, and he probably volunteered to become a plumber because he wants to help people. With Sune agreeing to continue seeing Yongbae, she ventures with her sister-in-law to go measure Yongbae again, seeing as she accidentally ate the measurements the first time. Upon Yongbae arriving at his sister's house, Yongbae and Chol-soo continue the facade of pretending that Yongbae is working in business, completely unaware that Sune already knows the truth. Despite both Sune and Yongbae wanting to come clean, their respective partners insist on going with it, which causes unnecessary friction between them. Sune's sister-in-law erroneously says that Sune won't settle for anyone less than a researcher, which devastates Yongbae. Learning this and thinking it to be true, he finally caves to his sister's nagging and goes to change his career to commerce. Despite incessant protests from his mother, who only wants him to do what he wants, he's stopped last minute, however, by a woman whose plumbing is backed up and volunteers to help. Youngbae's mother uses this as an opportunity to get to the bottom of this once and for all. She visits Sune in her office and bluntly asks if she has a problem with her son's career. Sune vehemently denies this and apologizes for what her sister-in-law said, explaining that it was simply a joke. She goes on to say that she likes Yongbae and that she has no quarrel with plumbers. Later on, we see the two lovebirds finally spend some time together alone for once, during which they quickly dispel any rumors that were circulating about each other. Sune asks why he became a plumber when he had so many other options available to him. He recalls his time in the personnel bureau after his service, where he was initially hesitant to take the job along with everyone else in the room due to the apparent stigma against plumbers. It isn't until he overhears his mother being ridiculed by two women that he jumps in to defend her and begin his career as a plumber as well. We're then treated to a montage which does a good job of contrasting the hard work done by plumbers and the everyday life of people who take advantage of all their labor, such as showing a dirty, waste covered man crawling in a narrow manhole while a woman washes fruit in a sink, or a group of children at a water park. All of this is possible because of plumbers. Later on, we see Yongbae and company hard at work when his co-worker Jong-up calls to him. Jong-up, who frequently hides her appearance throughout the film so her boyfriend doesn't find out she's a plumber, nervously asks to leave for the day. When Yongbae presses her as to why, her friends explain that the pipe they're working on is right by the stadium where her boxer boyfriend is a coach. The boyfriend then comes outside with his class, which causes Jong-ok to run and hide, while Young-bae, being sick and tired of the negative stereotypes surrounding plumbers, goes to confront her boyfriend. When doing so, her boyfriend explains that he has not any problems with her job at all, and in fact, he told his friends about it too, and they're all supportive, proving that Jong-ok's worries were unfounded and that she has no reason to hide from anyone anymore. Ironically enough, as the plot would have it, Sune's brother happens upon Young-bae and Jong-ok, who are learning to use a new device that allows them to receive signals from the pipes underground. Her brother recognizes him and assumes him to be a geologist because of the strange device. Having been fully impressed by Young-bae at this point, he tells his wife that he wants him to marry Sune, completely unaware that Young-bae has been this mysterious plumber all along. It also just so happens that his sister Chol-soo arrives, to which Young-bae tries to explain to Chol-soo that Sune already knows about his job and doesn't care. Chol-soo, however, still insists on him changing his career, and even bothers to trap him inside of a manhole when Sune also happens by. Pyongyang sure is a small city. Young-bae escapes his sister's trap, however, and with Sune they explain the situation together. Sune wants to introduce Young-bae to her brother for who he is, while her brother wants to introduce Young-bae to his sister thinking that he's a geologist. They both realize they have no choice but for Young-bae to just meet her brother and come clean. When Young-bae arrives, they entertain their brother's delusion that he's a geologist, and Sune says that she approves of him. It isn't until they gather everyone in the room, including Young-bae's sister Chol-soo, and they all agree on the marriage, that Young-bae reveals that he is the plumber that Sune was talking about, not a geologist. Sune's brother is immediately shocked, but instead of getting to know what happens, the scene just randomly jumps to another scene where Sune and Yongbae are walking down the street when a pipe suddenly bursts. Like, I don't know if this is an error in this print, but it seems like it was just cut for no reason. Anyways, Yongbae and Sune's brother jump into action, and everybody works together to fix the pipe. The film ends with the pipe being fixed, and all of the supporting cast comes together to congratulate Yongbae and the rest of the plumbers. Sune's brother apologizes for judging Yongbae for his job and accepts him into the family. We can only assume that Yongbae and Sune marry soon after and live happily ever after in their little communist paradise. So this movie was pretty standard as far as North Korean movies go. It's your run-of-the-mill story about how you shouldn't judge a person based solely off their career, and that everyone plays an equal role in society and should be respected as such. All the while throwing a love story in there so the audience doesn't get bored. It's how it works on paper anyways. One thing this movie taught me is that apparently there's a seething hatred of plumbers in the DPRK for some reason. I understand that being a plumber probably isn't the greatest career in the world. They do have indeed a difficult job, and in many cases it's a thankless job. For what it's worth, the movie does do a good job of showing just how much plumbers have to go through and how much of our daily life depends on them. But this movie acts like plumbers are this oppressed minority of people forced to live on the fringes of society, which to me just seems overdramatic. The characters in our story are very similar to ones in previous films I've done, and the romance between Yongbae and Sune exhibits the same chaste, childlike innocence that is required for all North Korean films with this element. Our antagonists, Cholsu and Sune's brother, are typical old-fashioned way of thinking folk who wish to stick to traditional customs, which our heroes promptly invalidate with socialist ideals. Mix our plot and our characters all together, and you have a story which I feel like I've already reviewed before. In fact, I know I have. This movie is essentially a carbon copy of the previous film I reviewed, O Youth, with a few minor changes. No, seriously, both revolve around two characters who are in love, but one of the characters' parents disapprove of the career of their kids, or in Sune's case, his sister's love interest is chosen. In this case, it's Yongbae being a plumber, while in O Youth, it was with Eungyung being a taekwondoist. In both films, the antagonist erroneously believes the other has a different job than the one they actually have. Yongbae was believed to be a geologist, while Eungyung an embroidery girl. And both end with the love interest winning over their prospective in-laws by performing a heroic action like winning a taekwondo match or fixing a broken pipeline, which causes the parent, or in Sune's case her brother, to realize how wrong they were and to come to accept the love interest into the family. Yeah, seriously, this is the same exact premise for both movies, just with a different setting. This movie does have some good qualities, however. For one, just like in A Traffic Controller on Crossroads, it's only an hour long, making it an easy pick for people just starting to get interested in North Korean films, and includes all the tropes you need to understand if you're going to watch more of them. And to its credit, the movie is also very, very light on the Juche propaganda. A few Workers' Party of Korea mentions here or there, but nothing serious, no major speeches or 1984-esque dialogue, which is the only thing that this movie has that O Youth doesn't. So this is a decent movie with a good lesson to teach us all, that you shouldn't judge someone for what they do for a living, especially when you take advantage of the fruit of their labor every day. If you've never seen a North Korean movie before and want to start, this would probably be a good choice if the aforementioned unsynchronized audio wasn't an issue. I'd say, unless you're a plumber, stick with the Traffic Controller on Crossroads for an introductory point, and if you're really in the mood for a North Korean rom-com, stick with O Youth, as it's a better film all around. This is Jesse from Chulsan Yonghwa Review, everyone. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful day. I'll see you next time.